Xerxes the Great, the powerful Persian king whose death destroyed an empire. Xerxes the First, also known as Xerxes the Great, was a 5th century Achaemenid king of the Persian Empire. He is best known for leading the massive invasion of Greece, marked by the battles of Thermopylae, Salamis and Plataea. In modern popular culture, Xerxes is perhaps best known as the main antagonist in Frank Miller's 300, a film based on the comic series of the same name. In these modern works, Xerxes, as the other, is portrayed, amongst other things, as effeminate, despotic, and decadent. In a way, these qualities serve to highlight the difference between Xerxes and his Greek adversaries, in particular the Spartan king who opposed him at Thermopylae, Leonidas. Such negative portrayals of Xerxes, and the Persians in general, however, are not limited to modern times, and were already in existence during the king's lifetime. As may be expected, these depictions were often made by his Greek enemies. Before we start, be sure to subscribe and click on the bell so you don't miss new videos. This is the channel Learning the World. Let's go! Who was Xerxes the Great? Xerxes the Great was born in 519 BC and died in Persepolis, modern-day Iran. He was the son of Atossa, the daughter of Achaemenid king Cyrus the Great, and King Darius the First, and became the heir apparent in preference to his elder brother due to his lineage in relation to Cyrus, which his elder brother missed out on because he was not Atossa's son. Xerxes ruled the Achaemenid Empire from 486 to 465 BC. His reign is most marked by the Persian campaigns against Greece and the battles of Thermopylae, Salamis, and Plataea, which may explain part of the reason why the Persian king has been heavily criticized by writers, especially the ancient Greek ones, over the years. One of the most famous of these can be found in Aeschylus' play, The Persians. King Leonidas of Sparta and the legendary Battle of the 300 at Thermopylae. Naqsh-i-Rustam, ancient tombs of powerful Persian kings. Revealing the real Prince of Persia and a king of kings who inspired modern movies. Xerxes and the Persians. Aeschylus the Persians is a tragedy that was first produced in 472 BC and was the second play in a 4-play production that won first prize at the City Dionysia Festival in Athens that year. The two characters said to have the most airtime in the play are Atossa, Xerxes' mother, and the ghost of Darius, Xerxes' father. Nevertheless, the play, including the conversations of Atossa and Darius' ghost, revolves around Xerxes' expedition against Greece and his defeat at the Battle of Salamis. Additionally, Xerxes makes an appearance towards the end of the play. In The Persians, Xerxes was portrayed rather negatively. One of his undesirable qualities in this play is hubris. For instance, during the conversation between Atossa and her husband's ghost, the dead king pointed out that Xerxes' excessive pride caused him to believe that he could enslave even the gods. Nevertheless, hubris was a common motif in Greek mythology, and many Greek characters, such as Oedipus and Bellerophon, are known to have suffered from hubris as well. One feature that perhaps separates Xerxes from these Greek characters is his behavior as an Easterner. To the ancient Greeks, Orientals were viewed as their opposites. Thus, for example, in The Persians, Xerxes is depicted by Aeschylus as one who is incapable of controlling his emotions. For much of Xerxes' time on the stage, he is a man completely consumed by grief, bewailing his misfortunes against the Greeks and making meaningless exclamations such as oi oi, yea yea, and otota totoi. How Herodotus depicts Xerxes. Xerxes is also treated unfavorably in Herodotus' The Histories as well, especially when one compares him with other Persian monarchs mentioned in the work, such as Cyrus and Darius the First. Nevertheless, Xerxes' failed expedition against Greece was not placed entirely on his shoulders by Herodotus. Instead, the blame is placed on Mardonius, one of Xerxes' cousins, and an influential figure in the Persian court. According to Herodotus, Xerxes was initially reluctant to invade Greece, but was persuaded to do so by Mardonius, who had personal motives for this campaign. Now, Xerxes was at first rather reluctant to make war on Greece. He, Mardonius, argued in this way because he wanted to stir things up and also because he wanted to become the governor of Greece. Eventually, he succeeded in winning Xerxes round to his point of view. The beginning of an empire's end. Whilst Xerxes' Greek campaign was ultimately a failure, he did manage to put down revolts in Babylonia and Egypt, thus keeping these areas in the Achaemenid Empire. Additionally, Xerxes is said to have maintained the Royal Road, an ancient highway that was reorganized and rebuilt by Xerxes' father, and praised by Herodotus for the speed it allowed men to travel. Additionally, after returning from Greece, Xerxes continued a number of architectural projects left unfinished by Darius. Two of the best-known structures completed by Xerxes are the Gate of All Nations and the Hall of 100 Columns. Yet, as a result of the failed Greek expedition, these projects depleted the empire's coffers and burdened Xerxes' subjects through heavy taxation. When a storm shattered the bridges over the Hellespont, Xerxes had the waters whipped 300 times and shackles dropped into them as a mark of enslavement. Xerxes, however, seems to have been blind to any of these problems, or if he did notice them, he did not do anything about it. He continued to do as he pleased, and because of this it has been said that his rule marks the beginning of the Achaemenid Empire's decline. Defeat and decline of the Persian Empire. Xerxes returned to Persia discouraged by his failure against the Greeks, and his focus shifted to the building of his father Darius's palace at Susa and the finishing of the construction of Persepolis. The early years of his life, which had seemed to bear so much promise, now saw the full weakness of his character expressed in a fierce temper and in lack of self-control in his relations with women. The resulting palace intrigues, accusations, and murders fostered an atmosphere of decadence in the Persepolis court and weakened Xerxes' ability to rule effectively. The Greeks no doubt saw this, and in 466 BCE, Cimon led a Greek force to Asia Minor, from where he gradually increased his strength. Xerxes was roused from his lethargy and sent out an expedition to deal with the threat, but the Greeks were too strong, and the Persians abandoned their ships at Eurymedon. The land battle that followed ended with the Greeks taking the Persian camp. Eurymedon proved decisive, and the Persian Empire lost Europe. The loss of Europe and the slow loss of Asia Minor marked the beginning of a steady, if unhurried, decline in the empire to its eventual defeat at the hands of Alexander the Great in the next century. Death of Xerxes. In the end, Xerxes was assassinated by one of his own ministers, Artabanus, who intended to sit on the Persian throne himself. This plan failed, as Artabanus was subsequently killed by one of Xerxes' sons, Artaxerxes, who became the next Achaemenid king. That's all for today. If you liked the video, put a like and don't forget to subscribe. Bye everyone.